Okay, a very good afternoon, and thank you so much for everyone to join for joining us today for today's session. We will be talking about Microsoft Outlook, and if you are new to Outlook or you want to know more about how to optimize the usage of Outlook, today's session is for you. So before we start, I would like to remind everyone, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the Q&A section, which is on the right-hand side of the screen. If that section is not open, you can click on the small little icon with the question mark on the top right-hand corner of your screen and open that Q&A section. And throughout this webinar, you can actually drop in your questions and we will take them. If you're wondering if you're going to be sending you videos as well as the presentation slides, yes, we will. After this session, we will send you via email. The email address that you've registered through the registration form is where we will send the slides as well as the video. So for all those of you who have not yet joined us on our social media, I would like to encourage you to follow us on our Facebook and LinkedIn. If you go down to the Q&A section, my colleague will be putting in the social media links over there so that you can actually like our Facebook and LinkedIn and follow us for updates on our products as well as the up and coming webinars that we'll be having running throughout September and October, coming September and October. Okay, so without further ado, I will hand this session over to Pranav, who is our Senior Support Engineer of VLAN Asia, to give you a little bit more understanding on how Microsoft Outlook works, as well as perhaps maybe some tips and tricks on Outlook, and you can probably use it for your everyday task to make collaboration as well as optimizing your usage of Outlook and your emails. Hi, Pranav.
Thanks, Norman. I hope you can see my screen now, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, hi guys. I hope you guys are doing well. All right, I'm Pranav here, who will be doing the live webinar today. All right, we're going to take a look on the experience and tips, how we're going to work usually with Microsoft Outlook. Right, this webinar is a bit, this webinar is going to be a live demo, right? Rather than I'm going to bore you with a PowerPoint slide, I'm going to do it in a demo directly from Microsoft Outlook. Right, so yeah, I'm actually sharing my screen here, right? Where I actually log into my 365 tenant, right? Where you can actually log into portal.office.com, where that's the URL of the main page. The moment you're going to log into that page, obviously you're going to see all these application, web-based application on your Office 365. It depends back on what are the license you have been assigned, and you have more application visible on this page, right? So yeah, before I'm going to start this demo, let me just explain a bit what is Outlook client and what is Outlook webmail, right? So the current one which you are looking, right, is a web-based. When you're going to click on Outlook, right, it's going to open something like that. This is called Outlook webmail, right, where you're opening that Outlook from the web browser versions. But however, some users might have Outlook application, right, where they install the application into their PC and it looks something this. Right, most of these I'm going to explain on the web version as well on the Outlook, some features which is not available on the web version, right? So do get the name correctly when I'm telling it. Outlook client means the Outlook application which is already downloaded in your PC, and the webmail I mean that's the web version of your Outlook, right? Right, let's jump in directly to the point. Some tips and some best practices how we actually use Outlook in a everyday day-to-day work in a proper way, right? So the moment you notice when you join, you are coming in 365 new, and you will notice something called focus and others. And when you click others, there's few emails coming in as well. So you might think, what is this first of all, right? And focus inbox is kind of like a focus. It's a features where you use a machine learning to control the workflow of your email by analyzing your incoming and how important is your email, right? So Microsoft actually does this something in an algorithm in a backend, a script where it actually learns how you actually start typing your email, and which are the email you frequently read and which are the email you really you really don't look it at all. Sometimes you have a lot of mail blasting like Agoda, Booking.com, right? And that doesn't really comes in your work related. So that obviously that email moved to your others, right? So I mean, this is how the behavior actually. But some people really doesn't want these features, right? It kind of like I don't want them to separate, right? Obviously, you can turn off that by going the setting icon over here. And yep, can you see that focus inbox? The moment I'm going to turn off that, yep, you don't have that option anymore, right? So you're going to have a single inbox where you all your emails is going to be jumping into one inbox rather than it actually separate them into focus and others, right? So yeah, that's the first thing which I've focus is kind of a default thing which you can't turn off by default, right? So it depends back on the user's experience. So if you don't want, then you have to turn off by yourself. Right. Moving to the next. Obviously, you guys are very familiar to create new email, right? Obviously, there's new email, and you're going to start typing email, and yes, you're going to send out. But most of the people never notice here is what is there's an option called send later, right? So something useful, right? Which I sometimes use, but depends back on you guys whether you want to do something like that. So what happened here is when you have an email and you wanted to send not today but tomorrow at 9 a.m. right? Let's say giving an example. So I'm going to select a date on Saturday and I'm going to select on the time 9 a.m. So what happened here is when I'm going to click on send, what happened here is the email actually draft the email which you have typed here, it actually save in your draft, right? And on the day on 9 o'clock on the Saturday or Friday which you already said, the email will actually send out, right? Rather than you coming in front of your computer, opening your laptop, you can actually does kind of like a snooze, right? Usually a snooze you can does that after the later part. So you can actually does that directly from the webmail, send later, right? Which is something cool. Usually you can use that. More option here when you can see show message option, right? Obviously request, read, receive, and deliver. So I think most of the people in the call might know what is this. So the moment you click on this, so the moment you drop an email to your recipient, right? So the moment they open the email, they will get an option saying that do you want them your sender to know that you already read the receipt, right? So to notify whether your sender has been read your email or not, this is how you notify it. Of course, you can does that directly from Outlook email as well. When you compose a new email, right, you have the option here. Yep, the same option here, if you can see it. Request, deliver receipt, and read receipt, and you have the same available features here on the web version as well. Right. A common question everyone was asking me when they try to send out an email using their another email address, and they was finding, hey, I can't change my from email address, right? I'm going to send to someone of my colleague and CC, but how am I supposed to change my email from pronoun to be something else? Let's say I have another email account as the send mailbox. So of course you can have the option here from, right? It is not displayed by default. Of course you have to click this option from. That's where you can see actually my email address, right? That's how usually you takes place. And even in Outlook, when you click a new email, the option from is there, but if you don't find it there, of course the option is under call under option, so you have to click that in order for you to view that option, right? Let me jump back on that. So there's something kind of small tips which usually never look at it, right? So just a quick glance on it, right? I mean, below are these things here are very common, like attachment, font, which are the common setting on Outlook. I don't want to talk about that because that is something a basic stuff. Let's jump in directly to inbox here, right? So you might think a lot of people start asking me when they're joined to 365. Let's say I'm creating a new subfolder here, right? And I'm going to put it as marketing. So what happened here is this subfolder and the emails which you are moving here, it's a cloud-based synchronization, right? So anything you're doing here is going to reflect back directly in your Outlook. So if you can see here, marketing was not existed just now. I just created now and it's there already. Giving an example, let me just create another one to show you, right? Let's put support, right? And click on it. And you can see that support just existed. So it's a cloud-based. Whenever you open anywhere your browser version or you configure your Outlook in a new laptop, yep, your subfolder and your emails follow back because all your emails are actually synchronized to the cloud based on a web, right? So anywhere when you open on your mobile Outlook, yep, that folder and your email is going to follow that. So nothing to be worried about, right? So there's something I was just talking about subfolders. You can manage it as much you can, right? Let's go in inbox again, so you can see these usual things which you have usually look at it, Outlook and Webmail, right? But mainly kind of the snooze, right? I usually don't use this, but just to give you an info, snooze is kind of like, let's say you receive this email and you want it to be notify you, or you want it to be kind of like alert you after some time again to remind you that you have to work on this, right? So kind of like snooze today at what time, and you can actually snooze this back email, kind of like receiving the email at 5 o'clock again. It's just for your side. You won't get for your recipient or any on the CC people. It's just to notify yourself. You wanted to alert again, right? So that's snooze. So yeah, Microsoft is actually working on to do, right? What is to do here is a kind of task, right? They're actually integrating that directly on Microsoft Outlook Webmail now. So what is the cool thing here? Let's say you have something to remind you tomorrow and you have to work on it, right? And you can actually start typing it, remind me tomorrow for work, right? But rather than that, if you know that email that you have to work on it, right, you can actually drag and drop it, right, as a task. So you can set it actually, you can actually drag and drop and it actually move to your directly task. So by this you can actually rather than typing it, you can actually see that from your to-do list. This is the web version. Of course, in your Outlook application you do not have that, right? But you can actually look that directly on your task here, right, which is hovered here. But if you really want an application, yes, of course you can install from your Play Store. It's called To Do, which I've actually shown here, right? It looks something familiar, something like that. And yep, based on that, you can actually overlook your entire calendar list directly from here itself, rather than changing to your calendar, right? You can see all your events, upcoming, today's meeting and everything directly from here, right? And you can start creating a meeting, all right, directly from here itself. All right, let's put a webinar here, right? I'm going to put an example email here, all right, and the date time, let's leave it as default. Sorry for that. Right, so if you can see here, the option here, actually you can actually select the team meeting which you would like to do it, right? Obviously when you do it on your web version, on your desktop application Outlook, of course you're going to go here in your Outlook, or you're going to click new meeting and click on Teams meeting, right? But how do you does that on the web version? Here is similar, right? You have the same option, Skype or Teams. Select that, send to your recipient who would like to invite them, and send it over. The moment you send it, they will receive a link, like a Teams, a link to join the meeting, and you can directly join to that link. So this is what I was talking about. I think I was doing a webinar for Microsoft Teams earlier, right? So it's like a vice versa. You can create a meeting from Microsoft Teams application itself, or you can does that from your Outlook. So this is what when the experience looks like when you're doing it from your Outlook web version, right? Of course, you can still go back to your calendar over here in your Outlook below, and you can create a new calendar here. Right, it is going to be the same similar way, right? But it gives you a big screen. Rather than you opening that, you can actually does that directly from your Outlook web email to just open it home there. Right, so kind of like a cool tips here, because they're actually integrating everything. If you can see here, this is Microsoft Teams, right? A chat box actually. The moment you click here, Microsoft Teams actually opens directly from the web browser as well, right? So they are kind of like integrating most of the stuff here, and then cool new things are coming in, and notifications are here, everything, right? You can actually start exploring more on it. Right, let's jump in on the settings here, right? Most users doesn't know the settings of most Outlook basic setting. You can have to change it in order for you to have a smooth, I mean, kind of way of working it, right? Make sure you have to click setting here, right? In order to check all your Outlook webmail setting rules and all the setting you like to see, right? Click on the setting icon on your webmail. Make sure you log into the webmail outlook.office.com. and click on view all Outlook settings, right? So I'm going to walk through a bit the cool things features that you really have to look at it when you start using Outlook webmail. Right, the first thing here is language and the time zone. Right, why is so important here is whenever you try to send an email, right, the calendar has to be synced to your region, so that it follows to the recipient in a correct way as well, right? So make sure whenever you join, you log into Office 365, make sure you check the first time. You have to check whether your timing zone is correct or not. Just you only need to does this on first time, right? Only one time, and then it will be default saying that you can actually change your format of time and date on your email. How do you want it to be look like? So in this case, I would like to look something like this. I find it very familiar for me to look at it because it follows the same Windows timing date. Right, yeah, appearance, you can actually change the theme's color here. If you can see, it's actually in a green and red icon. You can actually customize based on your needs, right? Yep, notification, desktop notification. So do people who does not have an Outlook application installed on their desktop PC, right? And let's say there's an incoming email coming in your webmail, and how do you get notified here is if you don't on this notification, then you do not have an alert coming in your notification in your webmail. Right, so when you turn on this send me a notification, what happened here is when your Outlook is closed, the web version Outlook is closed, it actually notify you in an email itself, right? Your Outlook is closed, there's a new 3 emails coming in, so you can actually view it in your mobile itself, right? You don't have this option, you don't want this option to appear when you already have Outlook application, since you already start using Outlook client application, right? So yep, categorize, it's a common thing. You can categorize most of the thing. Accessibility, mobile devices. It's nothing so cool here. It's just basic setting. You can actually look at it. I'm actually wanted to talk about distribution group here, right? You might have a owner, right, or members in a distribution group, right, where it's like an email forwarder. So someone sent to marketing, you receive it an email. And let's say you are the owner of that email group and distribution group, and you want there's new members join in your group, right? Of course, you want to edit everything. So as an owner, you can actually edit it directly from your webmail rather than asking your IT admin to add the users to the group. So if this is the case, let's say I'm a VLAN sale, I'm having a distribution list, right? I can actually edit directly here, and I can see who's the owner, myself, right? And I can add new members who's joining in my organization, right? So you can actually does that everything directly from here. So which is most common thing, most people doesn't know how to edit distribution. This is where you come in and do it, right? Next thing is storage, very useful. Each user has a 50 GB based on your license. Currently I have a business basic license, right? So by default it comes with a 50 GB. So what is so cool here is you can actually look at it, how many emails are there and how many are being used by this particular folder. If you can see sales, there's 7 emails, and how many email, the size of the email for the 7, it looks like everything's here. And you might think is my Outlook storage going to is it going to be a 50 GB, right? So you can see your utilization of your storage here directly from the webmail, right? Nothing much on here. Let's move directly on mail, right? Layout, kind of this is layout is how you want it your webmail to look like, right? So actually you can does that directly from here, right? If you can see display density is actually in full screen. The moment I'm going to move it in medium, it's going to actually make it all the size of the font here become smaller, and it's try to compress it. If you can see on compact, you can go and see everything in one page rather than you can see the different. I'm going to change back to full, and I'm going to change back to compact, so you can see the difference there, right? It gives you an overall view of it. Right, going back to the layout, so that's where you can actually does that from here, or you can come in setting and change that, right? Compose and reply. So what is this? So this is something every user usually when they send out an email, they want their signature, right? So this is something they really require them to add. So yes, you can of course add your signature here, right? How you does that in your Outlook application, right? And each time it doesn't need to type this in this order. So once you have added your signature over here, right? Changing your font depends on what font you want. Then you can actually put it this automatically include my signature in my new message that I compose, right? Of course, you can attach your picture as well, right? In this case, I'm going to add my company's logo here, right? Yep. So what happened here is I'm going to save it. So you can actually does that for your reply and forward email as well. Do you want to be automatically? So of course, yeah, why not? Right. What happened here is the moment I'm going to click save, right? Let's close this. The moment I click a new email, right? Can you see that? Moving forward, the signature is there already, so it doesn't need to copy and paste from your web your send item each time, right? It's going to be does that default, and even for your reply email is going to be there, right? So that's the signature part. Usually, it's kind of important, right? Yep, you can does all these small formatting. Example, each time when you start typing an email in your webmail, right? So you want your font to be in this format, right? Of course, you can does that directly from here. A user useful tips here is undo send, right? Undo send is kind of like you send an email and you like to revert back your email. You might be sending it wrong. You like to recall back the email, right? So webmail has a limitation here, right? By default, this is set 0, right? What happened here is when you send an email from the webmail, there's no chance of recalling back the email, right? So if you really want option to recall, Microsoft actually gives us an option called delay 10 seconds. So what happened here is the moment you're going to click 10-second here, right? What happened here is I'm going to click a new email. Let's put it a testing here. Let me put my name itself. I'm going to put test email. So what happened here is the moment I'm going to send, right? I actually have an option below. You see that sending. So I can actually undo that within 10 seconds. If it's less than 10 seconds and it's already 15 seconds, of course, there's no way of recalling back your email, right? Unless if you're using your Outlook, right? Outlook web application, sorry, Outlook client application, sorry for that. Yes, you can does that. Even you send out more than 30 minutes, you can still recall back your email. So how does it do that here is, for example, let me just get an email here, right? Right, let's say I'm just sending this email. Double clicking this email, you actually have a option called this icon under move, right? You have called recall this message. So what happened here is the moment you recall this message, recipient who does not read the email yet, or the email will disappear from their Outlook basically. So they don't receive the email. Microsoft Exchange will try to recall back the email since you already asked the action to recall back. So this option is only available in Outlook application. Right, it's not available on the web version. The web version only gives you a kind of like a snooze for 10 seconds. That's what I was actually showing you guys just now. Right, so yeah, that's where you go. So make sure if you really want, change it to 10 seconds. It'll give you a brief time like 10 seconds before it's going to send out. Right, nothing much on attachment here. Is this a default? You can leave it as default. Rules, something is really useful here, right? Emails are coming in a lot nowadays, and you want it to be organized in a structured folder, right? So, so if you can see here, I've already created rules here that when someone, if I receive an email from Kishore, that email directly moves to a folder called sales, right? So which is this folder which I was talking about. Yep, sales. So let me show you how am I going to create a rule, right? Which is really important when you're going to start receiving a lot of email. So yeah, on the web version, you're going to click add new rules, right? I'm going to put marketing. You can define any name here. Okay, so your condition here, you have to define what kind of condition. Is it a subject base or is it a from base, right? So let's say I'm giving an example if from. So if this is coming from Prakash, right? What I'm going to action it here is I want it to be move, right? Move this email to marketing related folder. So of course, when you start creating your folders here, you can actually start appearing your subfolders here indirectly over here. So you can actually put it under support or marketing. Right, the moment does that, you can actually have an option here, run the rule now. So what happened here is if there's any email related to Prakash in your inbox, right, that will run now immediately and move it to marketing folders, right? Then you're going to click save. I'm not going to run the rule now, right? This is for the test demo only, and you have the same similar thing on your Outlook client application as well. Same behavior, create rule. Is going to open that, and you can define back by clicking advanced option. You have all this. Let's say you're going to have from, and you have to click on here and modify based on that, Prakash, right? So something the same familiar, but you have a lot of option here compared to the webmail, but the basic stuff of it's been already integrated in webmail, so you have most of the things in webmail itself. Right, next will be the junk email. So this is something quite useful, right? You might receive a sender from Gmail or Yahoo, and each time the email actually move to junk, right? And you really tend to not to see the junk, because usually I see 30% most people never look at their junk, right? They only focus on their inbox. So in that case, if you find their emails are actually moving to junk folder, right? Of course, you can come it over here and right click and add, move it back in inbox. But how are you going to prevent this from upcoming emails coming in and not moving to junk folder, right? You can go on the setting again, right? Click on junk email, and you can actually add the user directly in your save list. So what happens is each time when you receive an email from Pranav, it's going to be moved to your inbox, right? And at the same time, you have block sender, and you really want to block this email each time it's coming in your inbox. Yes, you can block them. So these changes are only impacting on you. It's not going to impact on your organization. So you can actually does anything over here. It's not going to impact your colleague or your organization, right? This is something settings only for your personal Outlook. Right, nothing much on here. Sync email is kind of like setting here, so you can ignore that. Part here is forwarding. You can actually does a forwarding to your different email address. So let's say there's an email, whenever there's email when you are going out, right? If you're not available for 2 months, you're going for any vacation and you want to forward to your colleague, yes, you can does that somewhere here. Click enable forwarding and type the email address, and you can actually keep a copy of your forwarded email to your email as well. If you don't click this, each email when you receive to your side, it will actually forward directly to my colleague, right? To the email address which you have already input it. You won't keep a copy in your inbox. So make sure you click on that if you really want that. Right, automatic replies. It's called as out of office usually, right? OOO. And automatic replies is available in webmail itself, right? So there's no more it's no more limitation that only Outlook application does that, right? Of course, Outlook application has automatic reply here when you click file, and you have the same similar way of doing it, right? And yep, you have the same similar way automatic replies in the webmail. So of course you have to, when you are not in the, you are not MC or you have not around, you want your send when they send, anyone send an email to you, and you want to notify that you are not available on this time to time, yeah, of course you have to come here and does this, and from what date to what date time, and you define in your messages here. Right, retention policy groups are default. It depends back on your organization. So I encourage don't does anything here. Depends on the organization. They will actually manage it for you. Right. Next few things to update here. Let me change back my view to full view. I like it that. Right. Right. Some organization you might have one email address of your email address, right, which is your personal email address, and you have kind of like marketing or any share mailbox, right? They'll assign you a share mailbox. Those days when you would like to open a share mailbox where the entire member, a group of people who actually share a single email, like 10 people sharing one email account, they have to open another mailbox here, and they have to type the mailbox name over here, right? Right, so this is kind of like all share mailbox. All my sales team actually open the email here, and it actually open another tab, right? And each time when you open a new web mail, each time when you next morning you open back, the share mailbox disappear. It doesn't map it here itself. You have to open it in another mailbox. So what Microsoft actually, I mean, most people requested that. So what Microsoft does here is you can actually add your share mailbox folder here itself, right? Moving forward, the moment you add your share mailbox name here, what happened here is the share mailbox will be added here itself, right? So if you can see, contact one is example of my share mailbox. So I've actually added the similar way in like Outlook, because Outlook has the behavior to add your contacts, your share mailbox directly, but the webmail does not have this option previously. So Microsoft added that. So each time when you open and you close your Outlook and you open back, yep, the share mailbox, the catch is there, so it does not need to each time open your share mailbox. Something cool is being asked by many of the users, right? Right. Have you ever wondered that you have deleted an email and that email is not in your deleted item, and how do you want to recover back that? Right. So yeah, when it goes back in a delete, and if you accidentally delete this email itself, it actually moved to a column called recover item deleted. Right. When you click here, it actually shows you all the email which is not in the deleted item. It moved to a recoverable item. So what happened here is you have all these option email, right? Let's try to delete that. Right, so the moment I deleted it, can you see that it actually moved to recoverable item? So I can actually select this and restore back, right? And it goes back to the location where actually in the inbox. So basically I've actually deleted directly, and if you can see that I've actually bring back and restore back the email from the recover delete item. So this is the option. Of course you can does that directly from your Outlook itself. So same goes back to the delete item, right? And can you see that recover items recently removed from your folder? So you have that option here, right? Yep, I think almost there. And yeah, we just wondering, people who really want to change their password in Office 365, right? Most people doesn't know that they thought they have to change their password by asking the IT admins, right? Of course you can change your password here directly, right, by clicking the setting icon, by going to portal.office.com or office.com. You can have an option here, change password, right? So the moment you're going to click change password, of course you have to know your previous password, right, in order for you to change. But in this case, no, because the reason here is my organization does not allow that, because we have a active directly local active directory where it has to go by the local IT admin, has to reset for me, or I have to change my Windows password in order for me to change my Office 365 password. So it depends back on the organization. You can ask them whether have they enabled this option or not. So if they have, you can actually change your password directly from the web version of it, right? Yeah, almost there. I think that's a few tips and tricks which I've actually shown you guys. So just to wrap up here, what is the pro and cons, right, between the web version Outlook and the client application? So you're wondering, because some people start working on the web version and they do want to spend the cost for the Outlook application. So there's few benefit of Outlook client actually, right? So first of all is, as I mentioned you, recall email is only available in Outlook application, so that you won't able to does that in the web version. So that's one. And you can't work offline, right? So let's say I don't have an internet right now, and I can still open my Outlook and I can go through my emails, even I does not have an internet, right? Of course I can't send an email, I need an internet, but I can still read my emails in offline. Whereas in the web version, there's no way of it, because you can't even log into the web version if there's no internet, right? So that are the few advantage of having Outlook client application installed in your PC, which has more control on your uh, offline emails, right? So yeah, with that, I'm done with my tips and tricks and how you use Outlook client and more web version of the application. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Pranav. Now
Yep.
it's time for the Q&As. So if you have
Yep.
any questions that you'd like to ask Pranav with regards to Outlook, please do so that we can take them. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So Pranav, we have a couple of few questions that came in while
Mm,
you were doing the presentation.
yep.
One of it is that our attendee wants to know, how do you arrange the names to be shown as surname, middle name, first name? It seems that the middle name always does not show up in the list. So is there a
Uh,
way for us to set that?
I mean, is it a contact list, or is
Yeah.
it a
So
subfolder of the folders that
so
we are
I,
creating?
I think what he's trying to ask is that, when you open up your mailbox, right, and then what shows up is like just now your mailbox, it says Pranav, right?
Yes.
So let's just say if I want to have your middle name to show instead of Pranav, or a nickname to show instead of Pranav, is that a way to set it?
I've not personally tested that, but let me have a try on that, and we can actually reply back to the attendees later part, because I've not tested yet personally on that usually.
Okay. Yeah, the next question is, yeah, the attendee just highlighted to us that you were saying webmail. It's a web version, right, of
Yes, yes,
Outlook. It's not
yeah,
a
correct.
webmail.
Correct. I mean, the web version, usually what does we define it, even Microsoft, how do they define here is the webmail mention does the web URL of Office 365, right? So that define the web and their Outlook. So the moment you say Outlook and you're working on the web version of Outlook, to make it easier to define it, they say it's webmail. That's the thing.
Okay, the next question is how to recall emails through website Office 365.
So yeah, as I mentioned on the recall option on the website, which is the webmail, right? The web portal, right? It's not possible at the moment. As I show you, you have only 10 seconds of like a snooze to recall or undo back, but it's only available on the Outlook application, client application at the moment.
Right. So through the web browser version, you are not able to recall your email.
Yes, correct.
Only through the application version, right?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, the next question is referring to search function on Microsoft Outlook application. Not all emails were shown, especially old ones, and the search result wasn't sorted according to date, making it difficult to narrow down what we are looking for. Any solutions to this? It was much easier, friendlier in the older version of the app.
Okay, yeah. So search was it's a everyday search indexing, right? So every search when you're doing on your Outlook, it depends whether are you doing from the web version of the Outlook or the Outlook application client, because obviously the web version of the search has a limitation, because even I've tested myself, and whenever I try to look for someone's email, and it won't gives me the correct search engine, right? But whereas when I look at Outlook, yes, it is possible. The search engine is you will get it. It's like 80% accurate and 20% is not accurate, but it depends back how you're actually searching in the search folder, because the search engine actually changed a lot now, right? So rather than you typing a keyword, right, like let's say I'm actually looking for webinar, right? Rather than webinar, I know who's actually sending that. In this case, I know Norman, so you type the email address to Norman in the search first, and you give it a space and type webinar. So in that case, it actually looks for Norman's email address, anything related to Norman, and in the next engine search will be the webinar. So I think it's more like how do we going to search in a proper way, rather than searching a single word. We define the email address, and as well give it the next search engine to identify the keyword, right? Because there's a lot of keywords. It's going to put it, if you're going to put just support there, obviously it's going to throw out all the 100 emails that's related to support. So you have to precise and from whom, and if you have more clarification that you really know that this is something coming from him, and there's an attachment on it, of course you can do a more advanced search using that.
Right. Is there a way to sort it out according to dates when you search?
Yes, you can. Right. Yeah. Maybe I can share my screen again. Let me just show you that. Roman, can you let me know when you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, so if you can see the search button here, I'm actually doing a search on my current mailbox, which is my the folder which I'm currently in. But you can actually click on it. You can actually do a subfolder search only for that particular folder, all right? So if you're looking for an email and you know that email actually moved to marketing or sales, right? I encourage directly move to that folder and do a search, right? And if you want to do a more advanced search, of course, you click on this option here, and you can actually type the name of it, the body, and the date and the time, right? And you have more control on when the moment click more option here. Of course, you can add more option by clicking few sensitive item like due date, right? You can apply the form here. What usually I do here is I actually look for their name, right? After that, usually what I do here, I'll usually look for the name, and then I'll give a space, then I'll look for webinar. Obviously, there's nothing here in this event, right? So if you the moment click enter, yes, you have search, and if that user really has an attachment and you're looking for the attachment, you can click attachment here. You can see that attachment, yes, right? So it looks for precise for that search only, and you can does that search tool with more advanced search finding, right? So that's what I was talking about. You can actually define it more advanced search. So if you can see, I'm actually doing in sales, and you can actually browse that to the entire mailbox. More choice, advanced, you can do some criteria here as well. So the advanced search, you can actually go in advanced as well.
Right.
Yep.
So that means it is possible. It's basically more case sensitive. So
Yes,
the
correct.
system allows you to be more specific. You
Correct.
search things more specific rather than a general search on everything,
Correct.
right?
Yep. Correct.
So if you look for attachments, like you mentioned just now, you just key in the person's name and click on attachments, and it
Yeah.
comes out.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to be precise and specific to that particular, because the search engine actually looks for a lot of, because obviously I understand users has a lot of emails in their inbox, so it's going to take more precise to get more the criteria of search criteria is much more easier.
Right. Is that just now you were sharing with us on rules, right, Pranav?
Yep.
So you need to first create a folder, and you showed us a lot of steps to create a folder. Is there a shorter way of creating it, like right clicking and just
Yes,
creating
of
a
course.
folder?
Yeah, correct. So, I mean, when you create a rule, of course, you can start from beginning, right? But if you really knows that email each time when you want emails to be created, right? Let's say each time there's a 365 alerts coming in, you can actually does it right click over here, right? And create rules from here itself, right? So you can actually create a rule here, click OK. Let's move it on marketing. So what happened here is each time there's a email coming in, you'll actually move to this particular folder. So I'm actually creating a rule directly from here itself, right? So you can actually start from scratch, or you can actually define directly from the email stuff.
Right. So that makes it easier to create rules for specific emails that is sent in.
Correct.
Yeah, I find that rule creation is very useful in order for us to not miss important emails.
Exactly. So actually, what Microsoft is actually trying to does here is every those days when you create a rules is actually stays locally, right? When you close your Outlook and you launch it on your new PC, or you delete this Outlook profile and reconfigure back, the rules is no longer there, right? And you have to start doing all your rules again. So what Microsoft is actually changed here is the moment you create rules now, it actually the rules actually capture in your web version as well. So that's something cool. Those days it only stays locally, and now it's like a synchronized to the cloud as well.
Right. Okay. Okay. The attendees send in a comment about you answering the question just now about the search keyword, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the person mentioned that you actually explained it through the web version, not the app, but she specifically mentioned it's the app, not browser version. I've tried all keywords, including senders, email addresses, and the results are not consistent either.
Yeah, so it depends back on the version of your Outlook and your Windows 10 version, because each indexing has because the indexing is not actually working from your Outlook, it's actually from your Windows. So if
Right.
your Windows indexing is your Windows update is not up to date and your Outlook version is not up to date, of course your indexing might have a lot of issue. So we have to fix the indexing in order for you to have the search engine works very fine. Yeah.
Right.
So
So what you mean is that she needs to update the Windows
yes, I
and
mean,
also
what I
the app?
mean here is the Windows and the Outlook has to be to the latest version, and in order, because what happened is sometimes the indexing might have an issue, right? That's something not from the Outlook, that is something from the Windows itself. So what they have to do here is they have to repair the indexing, right? Just to give you, can actually go to control panel and you find your indexing is not working fine, right?
Right.
If you go to control panel, you can see here indexing option, right? Yep. So what you can do here is you can do advance here, right, and rebuild back. So what happened here is the entire search engine schema in your Windows 10, it will actually repair your entire search criteria, right? And it will
Right.
actually rebuild to the latest indexing. So if you really have, even though you find it, you search it correctly by typing your email address and the content specifically, but you still find it the problem, yeah, that's why you come in on control panel under indexing option, and you click on advanced and you click on rebuild. Of course, it's going to take a longer time, right? It depends back on the email. If you can see here, there's a 444 item indexing, right?
Right.
Yeah, so this is just a test tenant, right? So if in your case, it's going to be like million of indexing.
Right.
So you have to give some at least 3 to 4 hours to the indexing to finish up.
To take place, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this one works for PCs, right? So what
Yes.
about Mac? Is it the same?
Yep, almost same, but of course there has a limitation as well, because I mean the Outlook Mac on Mac has the search engine exactly like how Windows has, but they have their own indexing search option as well, right? Of Mac. So it's what I'm trying to tell here is not all search engine are actually from Outlook. The search engine is from the Windows itself. So in this case, if it's Mac, then Mac's indexing has to be up to date as well.
Right. So it's the same process. They need to go
Yes.
down to the settings and
Correct,
fix the
but for the
indexing.
Mac, obviously it's going to be different. I'm not a Mac user right now. I'm in a Windows, so I can't even show that. But of course, you can do some search on it. Indexing not working on Mac. Of course, they're going to give you Mac version of repairing the rebuild their indexing.
Right. So it's an issue with the indexing on the PC rather than the app, is it? Is
Correct.
that what you're trying to say? Okay.
Exactly. Because
So if you fix,
each search, because when you're trying to search on your Windows here, right, system, that comes from the indexing as well. So it's nothing from the application. It's something that does from the Windows itself.
I see. Okay. Okay. The next question: how do is from Sharon. How do I import my Outlook contacts address?
Right, you can't do that on your webmail at the moment, right? But it depends back. Your make sure your context is in a CSV, right? And you can import them usually using the import option here, right? And if you can see here, I actually can import my vcard, right? It's something. It depends on the format of it, right? So you can only import few format in order to import your entire contact.
So this only works on the app version, not on the web browser version.
No, because the reason here why it's not possible is because the web version does not have this option called import export.
Right.
All right, so that's a limitation. So you have to have an Outlook client application to does that something.
Right. So there's no alternative way to do that through web version?
No, at the moment.
Right. Okay. Right. So we've come to the end of our session. Thank you so much, Pranav, and thank you everyone for your questions. If you have any other questions or inquiries on perhaps maybe if you want to know more about setting up your Outlook, or how do you get the app working on your PC, you can always drop us your inquiries on the WhatsApp number, which is on the screen, or drop us an email so that you can get in touch with you. Send us your details. Yeah, and also feel free to send us your feedback on the webinar that we've just hosted. It will be good so that we can improve on our future webinars as well. So get in touch with us, drop us a WhatsApp message or contact us through email, and we will get in touch with you. Thank you so much. Have a good day, and we will see you next week for the next session. Thanks, Pranav.
Bye.